my greenskeeper shirt up too in the back.
Hang
I
on,
had
I'm trying to figure out if Tiger's going to break 100.
uh, barely.
I don't even want to talk about it, to be completely honest. I'd rather just not talk about it. He did wave at me on Wednesday, so if nothing else,
He
I
shot
got that.
82. He shot
Well, he
82,
didn't shoot
13
82
over.
on Wednesday. He shot like 7 under on Wednesday, but granted, it was a pro-am. But anyway,
Yeah.
we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about our guest of honor. I am so pumped about today's guest because, well, one, he sits right down the hallway from me, but we'll get to that here in a second. Jason Boslow from Shop Junior Golf is with us, and I haven't heard a peep from him all week, so I hope he's got a good laundry list of questions for today. Jason, what's up?
Just busy. I always have good questions. Come on, you know that.
I know. Busy is good. And Les from Pro Golf Now is with us, who does have some good questions. He sent those over to me. Jason, he sent them to me in advance, as he is supposed to.
I know. I saw that. You started on Wednesdays now. I'm pretty impressed.
Hey man, I didn't want to get fired, you know.
And Les, you also mentioned, and I didn't even see it until now, I'm starting to talk about it, you do have a greenskeeper.org shirt hanging behind you. Why don't you wear that shirt versus hanging it up on your
Because
wall?
it's easier to see it up there than it is on my body.
Yeah, you got the
I got
hat
my hat
on,
on
right?
too, though.
Yeah.
See?
I've pretty
See,
much,
I'm the
well,
only one wearing the right hat.
Yeah, I've got the shirt hanging up over there, so I'm giving greenskeeper.org some love.
Hey,
And
I
we have
covered up my Earl Scruggs poster with that, so go lightly, you know.
And we've got a ton of, I've got at least 2, if not 3 questions from greenskeeper.org members for today. Some really good ones that are going to be interesting to see how our guest can respond to those. We've got a lot of questions about Troon, and that's why we have questions about Troon, is because our guest today, Bill O'Brien from Troon Golf, is with us. Bill, welcome to the Friday Foursome.
Thanks, Ricky. It's a real treat to be here today. Appreciate the opportunity to be on your show.
Awesome. Well, before we get started, I could talk about you because I know a lot about you, and we've known each other for several years now. But I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Take a couple of minutes. Tell us who you are, what you do with Troon, and you got a little bit of history in San Diego that I want you to allude to, because some of your questions today are going to relate to your time spent near the beach.
Thanks, Ricky. Listen, interestingly enough, I've probably stepped foot on a golf course, every day for the past better part of 3 decades. I'm from Phoenix originally, born and raised out on the west side. Got my first golf job at Sierra Estrella Mountain. I understand it's probably changed names quite a few times since then. Worked at the Arizona Biltmore in Phoenix, which was great. I got my first Troon golf job at Troon North Golf Club back in 1998, and it's been a great partnership ever since then. Got a family in San Diego, wife Dina and a boy named Tanner, and when I'm not on the road or in the Scottsdale office, I enjoy my days near the beach.
That's awesome. Well, I am pumped to have you here with us today, and I'm going to start off by the first thing that is probably the most exciting Thanksgiving I've had yet. So I finally got the chance I go to San Diego every year for Thanksgiving, but this year on Thanksgiving Day I got the chance to play Maderas Golf Club. So you spent several years at Maderas, and I got to know, because I played the golf course, only played it once, and it was just an unbelievable experience, tee to green all the way around, and it helps that I birdied the first hole and got started. I got to 3 under par.
Blah, 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 blah.
Hey, I chipped in for birdie on 1, so things, yeah, it was fun. But out of all the holes there, what's your favorite and your least favorite hole at Maderas?
Great question. Great question. Number 11, par 4, heads due west, is my favorite hole at the course. It's a short par 4, and I think it's because it really captures, especially in the morning or in the late evening, kind of the essence of golf in San Diego, especially as the marine layer, which is pretty typical in that part, would roll in each morning. Number 11 is my favorite hole. Again, short, downhill par 4, but in my opinion just really captures kind of the essence of San Diego golf in terms of its vistas and the surrounding. My least favorite is probably one of the local favorites, and that is hole number 5. Par 4, dogleg left, and it's not because of the course in as much as the homes along the side of it routinely get hit by golf balls. And I spent the better part of 9 years having to field calls from homeowners who had broken windows. So that's probably my least favorite hole on the golf course.
Now, wait a minute. Did you ever break one of those windows? Is that how you?
No. Ricky, you know this. As you spend more time in the business, you play a lot less golf. I'm very good at spreadsheets and not so much at putting anymore.
That's funny. Now, Jason, I don't know if you're good with spreadsheets, but I bet you got some good questions for Bill today.
First of all, Tiger would have been one of those phone calls I'm pretty sure that you would have received this week had he been playing there.
Right, true story.
I know Jordan Spieth had a house this week, and apparently it was the house that he's staying in as well, so that's kind of funny to me. But, so how does one get involved in GM of a golf course? How do you get, like, what's your career path? And for those that are interested in getting into the business, kind of what is that career path to become a general manager of a golf course?
Boy, Jason, that's a great question. And, the answer's changed a lot over the years. And, traditionally, I think the path I took was like many, starting in kind of a golf outside service capacity, either at a private or resort or daily fee course, handling the carts and the practice facilities. Shortly thereafter, one transitions into the golf shop, maybe gets a job as a tournament coordinator, then follows with a head professional job, then maybe a director of golf, and that's very much the path I took. When young people today ask me, how do I become a GM, the answer's changed a little bit, and my response often is, what are you a subject matter expert in? Is it sales? Is it food or beverage? Is it agronomy? And I think today the industry has shown to be quite flexible and can adapt to people who have, a strong skill set in one of those disciplines. Now, you still need to be a generalist in some fashion, but if you have some subject matter expertise in sales today, I think it is, in fact, one of the surefire ways to get into senior leadership at a club, because you're able to affect the top line, you're able to affect the bottom line, you're able to affect the experience. And so I encourage people who have a passion for sales, a passion for marketing, to not discount themselves when it comes to general management.
Interesting.
Now, Les, you're a little too far along in your career to be looking at becoming a GM at a club. But one of the questions that you have, and I'm really excited to hear how Bill answers this, because I have a way that I would answer this, but it revolves around Troon facilities. So, Les, take it away.
Yeah, and I envy your San Diego experience. Mine was in the Navy, wasn't really quite as good. But what factors does Troon look for when adding a course to its program?
That's a great question. Couple of things. One, Troon typically will align itself with some of the best product in a market. It's consistent with our mission, consistent with our vision. And I think that's obvious when you look into a market like Scottsdale. You see, the courses that are a part of the Troon family there are some of the best product in the Valley. So certainly aligning itself with quality product is important, and to the extent that those facilities are sustainable, it requires a lot of talented people, and so I think that's part of the equation, if you will, when we pursue opportunities. How are all the supporting stakeholders enrolled in that particular product? Are they committed to the product? And that's certainly part of the decision-making process.
Wow, yeah.
We've got a lot of them, Les, so pick your favorite and go play. Play Troon. Jason, back to you.
So I was going to ask, in your opinion, from vice president or director of operations, junior golf obviously is kind of my forte here. What is Troon as an organization doing to kind of help further the development process in junior golf and even expand junior golf to bring in more kids?
Jason, it happens on a lot of levels. Our chairman, our executive vice president of operations are both heavily involved on the national level in terms of growing the game initiatives, and so I think having a seat at the table in that regard is important. We get to be a part of the change, and then at the same time you're able to then kind of remarket that message to another 200 some odd clubs around the planet. So we're very close to the initiatives in terms of the national scene, and then secondly, through our own marketing activities here at the club, we push out a lot of programming to the courses themselves. Chris Strauss, who Ricky works very closely with, just recently put forth the Troon Junior Club, and I think that type of effort, supported by 200 some odd golf courses will ultimately make a big difference.
And if you are not a member of the TJC, it is an awesome program. I mean, we've been doing a lot of stuff. So we have a tent in the corporate village this week at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, and we've invited a lot of our junior golfers that are here locally to come and enjoy. And I mean, when you become a member, it's $35 a year. You get a hat, you get a bag tag, and you get just access to all these facilities that have, whether it's clinics that are complimentary on the weekends, or whether it's discounted tee times, or whatever the case may be. It's just really cool to see what the facility then, on the facility level, is doing with the TJC, the Troon Junior Club. There's an exclusive way via Instagram that Troon Junior Club members can communicate with one another, and it's in its infancy, but it's just an awesome program to be involved with, and as we do grow the game, it's something that we'll be able to build and grow both here locally and potentially worldwide. So it's a really cool program. Jason, your son would be a very good candidate to be a member of the TJC.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of questions from the greenskeeper.org folks, and I should probably answer this one, but I'm going to let Bill answer this one because I know that this is something that he shows a lot of interest in. So Ringworld, who has, Les, you might have to check this, but I think Ringworld has asked a question in every episode of the Friday Foursome. They've been allowed to ask questions. So Ringworld, keep them coming. But he wants to know, do you believe in social media marketing? What have you done at your previous jobs to help encourage this type of marketing? And if you say you don't like social media marketing, this interview is over. So tread lightly. But I know you do. So.
You know, it's a topic I could talk a lot about. I'm a big fan of social media, both in my professional life and in my personal life. And frankly, some of it started because I was monitoring my teenage son. But no, seriously, social media, I think, has done a great job in reinforcing a club's brand, a club's mission, a club's why, if you will. Personally involved at Maderas in many of the social media efforts that included Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+. We did a lot of work in creating YouTube videos that really we thought kind of captured the essence of our course, its people, our values, and really just started telling that story. And what's cool is, you know, the byproduct of telling that story is people start to listen. And, you know, through that process, you know, real relationships, real partnerships, real alignments. I alluded to it briefly before we started. One of the cool stories is with Chad Coleman from Callaway Golf. And I got to following him on either Instagram or Facebook, I don't recall. And, you know, through that affiliation, we ended up becoming business partners. Most recently, he and his Callaway golf team were out at the club. I think it was in probably September when Callaway was launching one of its new drivers. And, you know, fast forward, Phil Mickelson's at the golf course filming a commercial. And so I'm a big fan of social media. I use it. I think it's part of telling a great story. And if you're not, people should be.
Well, let's take this social media thing a little bit further. My next question actually comes from the hashtag golf chat that is on Twitter every Tuesday night. Why are young 20 to 40-year-old golfers not joining country clubs?
Oh, you know, it's a tough question to answer succinctly. There are a number of different reasons. I think the biggest reason is just the change in value that maybe a younger generation sees that a club offers. You know, unlike my dad, who maybe played golf on Saturdays and practiced on Tuesdays and Thursdays, younger generations today often have, you know, two spouses contributing to the income, so there's much less time, much less discretionary income to play golf. To some extent, I wonder, you know, is golf as cool as some of the other action sports that tend to capture their attention, be it surfing or snowboarding? I think it's expensive. You know, Les, it's make no mistake about it, it's an investment. So I think that's a challenge. Clearly, everybody talks about the amount of time. Having said that, as many people that aren't joining, we do see in many cases young people who get a lot of value out of their clubs. They're social hubs. They gather with their family and their friends. And so while it's certainly different, I haven't lost hope by any means.
Well, most of the clubs up here in my area are, for instance, are waiving initiation fees and everything, but they're that age group just isn't joining. You know, they're just not coming out.
No, there's so many more things to do today. I mean, you know, hats off to the restaurants and the hotels and the attractions and the activities who've made their brands, their enterprises, their businesses super relevant. And that's why I think golf courses have a unique opportunity to do the same. And the clubs, Les, that are doing well, the clubs that are doing well have made their clubs relevant, either on a food scene, a golf scene, a social scene, a health and wellness type of scene. And so those clubs will be fine.
And they're plugged into social media, right?
Without question. Without question.
So San Diego, Maderas is actually in Poway, but San Diego is right next door, and I actually don't even know where the difference between San Diego and Poway is, because when we stay in San Diego, and Maderas is right next door. Now, San Diego is probably the mecca of craft beer in the United States, and I'm going to take a step away from golf for a second, because as much as golf means to me, craft beer it's right neck and neck. So, one, are you a craft beer drinker? And if you are, who are your top 3 favorite brewing companies in San Diego? I know who my 3 favorite in the area are, and it's changing. Every year that I go and I visit, it changes a little bit. But let's take
That's why it's always safe to be with Anheuser-Busch, you know?
I am a craft beer fan, and I will tell you this, Maderas was one of the first clubs to fully adopt some of the craft beer momentum. We got rid of a lot of the domestic beers, Les, from the beverage card.
I won't be showing up.
I will tell you this, my favorite craft beer brewery is Ballast Point.
Oh, good answer. They're in my top 3.
My second is Green Flash.
Okay, they're good.
And my third is probably Stone.
Ooh. Okay, you hit 2 of 3.
2 out of the 3. Yeah, I really like the Ballast Point Sculpin. That's probably my favorite craft beer.
Funny story about the Ballast Point Sculpin. Right before I teed off when I played at Maderas, I had a Ballast Point Sculpin. A can of that and a breakfast burrito is, well, the breakfast of champions is what I consider it.
You start your day with 300 empty calories, right?
300 delicious calories is what I like.
All right.
A buddy of mine, and actually the guy that I played golf with on Thanksgiving, we like to argue, and because I'm really big into fitness, and we like to say that liquid calories don't really count because they're liquid. Jason, back to you, buddy.
So being is that you're over, so many different Troon facilities, what do you feel that Troon does very well on a daily basis, and what do you feel Troon could improve on to help that on a daily basis?
In terms of what Troon does well, I'm blown away and humbled, Jason, by the talent in this office. I will tell you that...
Ricky, of course.
Of course.
Thanks, Jason.
We've
Plug him.
He wanted to say it. I just said it for him.
We've got the best people in the field representing, the core competencies that support a golf or club operation, whether it be legal, procurement, agronomy, golf operations. So I think in terms of this company's ability to attract and retain some of the best talent in the market is certainly advantageous. And all kidding aside, its decision to hire a digital communications manager like Ricky, I really think speaks to its progressive nature. Ricky and Chris Strauss are making huge contributions, not only here in the Valley, but domestically and around the world with their social media and content marketing efforts. So, I think that's what we do really well in terms of leveraging resources, Jason. We can support a club, unlike a self-managed club. And frankly, as a former GM, having, if you will, experts surrounding me really helped me do my best work. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what we do very well. In terms of what we could do better, I think we need to continue to find ways to be relevant to the younger generations. To Les's question, how do we do what snowboarding did to skiing? How do we do what Top Golf is doing to driving ranges? How do we do what night bowling has done to bowling? We need to find ways to be super relevant to younger generations. one of our courses here in the Valley, Ak-Chin Southern Dunes, I think, has done a remarkable job in redesigning its driving range as a 6-hole short course. Ricky, am I right with that?
Yeah, 6 holes.
What a great opportunity to relate to juniors and young people in an environment where they can learn the game and not feel embarrassed or worried about being any good at it. So we have still yet got to find a way to relate to younger people.
And I tell you, hashtag Mini Dunes, the name of that short course, is awesome. Like, it is the coolest concept, and I want to see more and more facilities do something like that, just to be able to get not just juniors. I mean, every time I go down there to play that golf course, I'm like, ooh, I want to play Mini Dunes. Like, I want to go ahead and finish my 18 holes. Yeah, that's great. Let's go play Mini Dunes, because it's just fun to hit a 60-yard shot and still, if you miss the green, you still have to make par, which if Tiger played hashtag Mini Dunes, he might shoot like 74 because he doesn't know how to hit anything inside of 150 yards. But yeah, you're right. So
hashtag pile on there.
Yeah, I know.
So I just want to add one thing. He brought up the correlation between night bowling and keeping bowling relevant. So I spent 20 years in the bowling industry, and that was always a big topic. And I see a lot of correlation between the bowling business and the golf industry, and a lot of the same hurdles and the same struggles that they're trying to overcome, to stay relevant, to stay, with that younger generation and to grow the game. So there's a lot of similarities between the golf business and the bowling industry, which I spent a ridiculous amount of time in. So it was interesting that he brought up bowling as an example there too. So.
Well, Jason, to add on to that, if I will, I think what bowling's done such a good job of is league play.
Mm-hmm.
How do our golf courses, that are either open to the public or run by municipalities, leverage more of the league opportunities? Again, long gone are the days where golf has to be 18 holes played at 7 a.m. on a Saturday. Let's take advantage of the open times on the tee sheets throughout the week, reach out to the league opportunities, and fill our tee sheets with people who are only interested in maybe playing 6 holes or 9 holes. We certainly have the capacity for that.
Sure.
Well, I'm going to skip around here a little bit because there was a question that came up from SixPez at greenskeeper.org, and being a 20-year resident of California, I thought it was a great question. It says, what is Troon's plan in dealing with water concerns, especially on the West Coast, while striving to uphold standards of conditioning and a quality player experience?
Great question. Tough balance to strike, right? It's tough.
Yeah.
To keep course conditions in preeminent shape with a lack of water. I'll tell you a couple of things. Personally, our clubs are being encouraged to participate in their local agencies' strategy and planning efforts. In my own circumstance, I joined the San Diego County Water Authority's Conservation Action Committee.
Wow.
We just started talking about, water in the region, and having a seat at the table, you're then able to participate in not only demonstrating how your courses may add value to a local community in terms of the jobs it creates, but you can also effectively argue how a responsible water user applies the resources on his or her golf course. So to specifically answer your question, we are encouraging all of our operators to get a seat at the table with their local agencies to commence with the building of task forces to plan and prepare for the future. Many golf courses are going through turf reduction plans. Many golf courses have updated their courses with the latest technology in terms of weather stations and irrigation systems to minimize the amount of waste and over-irrigation. Golf course operators have a big incentive to do their job well when it comes to water because it's very expensive. And so, it's fun, but at the end of the day, we're encouraging people to take a seat at the table with their water suppliers.
That's a great idea.
Okay, so you're an Arizona native. Hashtag bear down or hashtag fear the fork?
Oh, hashtag bear down, Ricky Potts. Go U of A.
Now, and I hope Chris Strauss is not watching this because, I mean, he might be throwing a fit right now and throwing up some hashtag fear the fork.
Anything cute and charming like fear the fork, man.
and I don't know who brought this to my attention, and it might actually be a U of A grad because he said that it's not really a fork, it's a trident. So in reality, the entire concept behind the fork is completely irrelevant.
Kind of like ASU Sun Devil Sports.
That's pretty funny. Okay, so tell me a story about your time at U of A.
Oh, it's funny. Everybody always asks me if I played golf at the U of A. I'm like, no. I mean, you had to be really good to play golf at the U of A. Yeah, it was hard to. It's hard not to mention the fact that I worked at a car wash, Jason. Unless you may get a kick out of this, it was certainly not anything that you'd want to put on a T-shirt, but I did. I worked at a place called Mr. Suds.
They probably appreciate the plug if they're still open.
Right. My buddy's dad owned a car wash. I worked at a car wash for 4 years in college. It was pretty exciting times.
God, I bet you drove a really clean car. I hope you did, anyway.
I promise you not. It's like anything else. You don't even want to wash your car after you wash 200 of them on a Saturday.
Les, you got any final questions for Bill? I feel like we could talk to this guy forever, and we've already been talking for 25 minutes.
I had visions of what's that TV show where they had was based in a car wash in
Yes, that's exactly what it was like, my man.
Breaking Bad? Is that what you're
Breaking
talking about?
Bad, you know?
Yeah, Breaking Bad.
I'm telling you.
Or Blamos. I'm done. I think we've covered the questions I had. So
okay. All right. We're going to go to Jason. Final questions?
I actually do. I've got one more. So Troon being the worldwide group that it is, where do you see the biggest from a geographer point of view, where do you see the biggest, kind of the next horizon?
Domestically, Jason, it's definitely with private clubs.
Okay.
Therein lies the biggest opportunity with private clubs, trying to figure out sustainable ways to keep their clubs relevant. Internationally, there are growth opportunities in Asia, China. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. There's a growing interest in the game. You see that domestically with those who travel out of China, out of Japan, out of Korea, into the States to play golf. Young women and children in those Asian countries are, big fans of the game. So I think the opportunities will continue to be in that area of the world.
Interesting.
Okay, Jason, it's time for your favorite part. I know you're excited. We got some good questions in today's lightning round. So
I got a feeling there's going to be a change in questions.
Nope, there's not. It will never change until the day he retires. It will never change. So thanks for alluding to that question. I did warn Bill that one of his lightning round questions would revolve around Tiger. So, Bill, nine rapid fire questions. You ready?
Yeah, go.
All right. Who is going to win the Waste Management Phoenix Open and will not be Tiger? So that answer is now obsolete.
Gosh, I hope Jimmy Walker's playing.
I don't even know if he is. Is he? Does anybody know? Les, do you know?
He's playing, but I don't think he's doing well.
Okay. Well, you know who else isn't doing well? Mr. 82.
I'm going with Jimmy Walker to win.
Have you ever had an ace?
No. Regrettably.
Have you ever been close? That's a part B to that question.
Yes, a couple of times. Within a foot.
What is your favorite restaurant in Scottsdale? I'm sure you've had a chance to sneak out and find some places to eat around the area.
I got to tell you, I haven't eaten in Scottsdale, but in Central Phoenix, there's a place called Pomo's, not too far from my spot. It's a pizza joint that I really like.
I've never even heard of that. We should go out and have a piece of pizza. Now that sounds awesome.
Pomo's, Pomo's.
What is your favorite PGA Tour major?
U.S. Open.
A lot of people say the Masters because, well, it's the Masters. So now, speaking of majors, and based on his performance today, I don't really care how you answer this question. Usually I get mad if you answer it the wrong way, but will Tiger break Jack's record?
No.
Why?
I think his best work's behind him. I'm rooting for him. I'm one of those who think he's done remarkable work. It's affected the game for a long time to come. I'd love to see him win. I think the talent on the PGA Tour today is as good as it's ever been, and I think it's going to be tough for him to win 4 or 5 more.
Okay, that's a good answer. That's a respectable answer versus just saying no and carrying on. I will allow that. Okay, who is your favorite LPGA Tour player?
Michelle Wie, and you talk about social media, man, that's how I became a big fan of Michelle Wie, is through social media. She is so authentic. I hope she wins everything this year.
You know, and if you didn't know she was an LPGA Tour player, following her on Instagram and Twitter, you might never know she was an LPGA Tour player.
No, where she was a model. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good answer. Who is in your perfect foursome?
Oh gosh, great question. Do they all have to be golfers, Ricky?
They don't have to be golfers, and they don't even have to be alive for that
You
matter.
know, I've always wanted to hang out with Tony Blair, Winston Churchill, and Abraham Lincoln.
Oh,
Wow.
that is a great
Good answer.
foursome. So what golf ball do you currently play?
I play a Titleist Pro V.
Okay, me too. Good answer. I didn't know if you'd say Callaway because #Chad might be watching. So
Oh, unless of course I play with Chad, and then it's a
then you
Callaway.
have to play a Callaway, right? That would be funny if you played with Chad and then he teed up a Pro V1 when you played a Callaway.
Titleist has been good to me.
I will say that the Chrome Soft is a fantastic golf ball. So, if Chad and the guys at Callaway are watching, it is as close to the Pro V1 as I have found yet. If it's spun just a little bit more around the greens, which will be hopefully the Chrome Soft Plus that's coming out soon, it would replace the Pro V1 for me, but I too am a Pro V1 guy. And Bill, your final question of the Friday Foursome. First off, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a fantastic half an hour, but what's next for Bill O'Brien? And don't say lunch because that's too easy of an answer.
Great question. I'm doing my best to help clubs, boards, and operators do their best work, and that's really why I get out of bed every morning. And so I'm going to continue that pursuit with this great company in this great city, and that's where you'll continue to find me for what I hope is a long time to come.
Well, that is awesome. Jason, Les, thanks for joining us. Bill, thank you again. I'm gonna go down to your office real quick and shake your hand before I leave because I've got to head over to the Waste Management Phoenix Open. But if you're so close, I might as well come say hi. And as Matt Rust always says, and speaking of Matt Rust, Matt, I saw Jesus Martinez, who used to say make more birdies. I saw him the other night before Faraday Live. But I'm still going to use your saying, as Matt Rust always says, make less bogeys.